I'm riding home on the 24th of December, so the day before Christmas. The last few days were not so good, mainly because we're in the mountains this time, steep as hell, with real McCoy razorback edges on them. The only flat piece to sleep on is on the ridges, and they are all stony. We caught a few VC and found a cache of weapons, a 1917 Springfield rifle and some old French rifles. But then we were accidentally shelled by our own artillery one night. They landed about 100 metres away, so we only got the shrapnel through the treetops. It didn't matter too much as I was flat on the ground. I could have crawled under a snake with a top hat on anyway. We had to search a village on the last day before we come back, and I was able to get quite a few photographs. We came through a French rubber plantation on the way back. They had big lawns. This is around a French villa. They had big lawns with lighted tennis court, big stone houses, all terraced. They must have lived extremely well. And then on Christmas Day, which is the next day, 25th, the battalion had a Christmas dinner. And one of the traditions is that on Christmas Day, the senior officers are supposed to come around and bring you your morning coffee. So that's good. So our platoon sergeant brought round a Dixie, which is a big steel thing with coffee in it. I would say it probably had a jar of coffee, not a lot of hot water, and several bottles of rum in it. And we got half a pannikin full of that, which if you weren't awake, you certainly bloody were after you drank that. And that was started off for Christmas Day. I'll read the words. This is Christmas morning, 6:30. We've all been kicked out of bed. Our platoon commander and platoon sergeant had just come around with a bucket of black coffee, half full of rum, and made us drink a mug each for Christmas to cheer the Christmas cheer with them. Needless to say, most woke up in an awful hurry. And of course, I had to draw picket duty that night from 11 o'clock onwards to 1 o'clock, and there were people still singing when I went to bed. And I'm reading the Christmas dinner menu. To start off with, we got chilled tomato juice, roast seasons turkey with cranberry sauce, pineapple ham, baked potatoes, green peas and glazed carrot. This sounds like it's a Monty Python's thing, but anyway, that's what we've got. Fruit salad and jelly, whipped topping or Christmas pudding with brandy sauce, beer and soft drinks, mixed nuts, assorted candies, assorted fresh fruits, tossed salad, a mincemeat slice and bread rolls. Nobody's going to believe that, but that's what we had for Christmas. I believe that's what we had for Christmas. I don't have much of a recollection of it, but there you go. The cooks have done their best, and they've got it up on a piece of paper with a lovely little bit of holly and stuff on the front of it. But I have to say, somewhere I've got in here that the food we had was generally very good, better than it was in Australia. The Australian food was a bit like boarding school food, was pretty ordinary. But in the field, I think the cooks did the best they could possibly do for us. I got parcels from Mum, which were basically a food parcel, and when I come in from operations, it'd be I'd collect it in the orderly room, and we'd set to and eat my section would eat the whole bloody cake. That's what we'd do. You didn't keep it for yourself. It was shared with everybody. And that was pretty so. But people are very human. My mate Ken, who I was in the same tent with, when we got our mail, we'd all get mail together. He noticed one of the guys never got mail from home, so Ken always gave him his letter to read first. So Bob looked like he got a letter from home, wasn't left out of it. So you get people who are very humane like that, and that's looking after one another. That's what you do. We got mail regularly, and I got mail in the field. And the mail from home is very important to soldiers, always has been. And the deal was, when you wrote a letter from Australia, you sent it to care of the military post office, and they picked it up and they found that digger wherever that digger was based. So that followed you until you got your mail. Sometimes you might get 3 or 4 letters at once, so it's been held up somewhere. But generally speaking, I'd say the mail's very, very good. I doubt very much if I lost any mail coming or going. If I did, I have no knowledge of it. And they did go to quite a bit of trouble to make sure you got mail. And so if I wrote a letter at home, I addressed it to home, I didn't put a postage stamp on it. That was, you obviously didn't have stamps. It just had a military postmark on it. Then it got delivered home. I think it was a very good service, and our government and our armed forces would have made a considerable effort to make sure we got what we were supposed to get. There was no phones overseas at all. You would only, if something as serious had happened, you could get a telegram. Parent had died or whatever, you'd get a telegram saying that. If you were wounded or killed, parents got a telegram, and it was a standard telegram, and it would say things like seriously wounded but not seriously ill. So seriously wounded, you had a leg taken off, smashed off, but you're not going to die. Or seriously wounded and seriously ill, which means things weren't looking good to you. Or unfortunately, killed in action. And, they're pretty sort of come from the First World War. They're just a few lines on the thing. Americans have a different system altogether. If you're an American and you're killed, an officer goes to your house and contacts that next of kin person and gives them the news in as much detail as they can. In Australia, you get a telegram boy turns up at the door and hands you a telegram. And you've got to make the best of that.